Normally, I talk about an old story that's long gone. Today, I want to talk about a story that's ongoing, but started all the way back when a little boy saw his parents get shot in an alley.
And it's Thursday. You know what that means? It's time for us to have another Throwback Thursday. And we're gonna go back in time, throw up that celebration, because Heart of the Stories we tell, and me, Rob the host, is going to take us back to a quick nostalgic look and see how a story was that might be a little bit on the older side. So celebrate your week almost being over as we look at
Na 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 na. Batman! Alright, so I know what you're thinking. Batman isn't a flashback. I'm watching Gotham now. I read Detective Comics. How could that possibly be old news? Well, this is from the animated series. I grew up watching that. And this is from when Adam West was Batman. I grew up watching that too. In fact, I've gone through multiple different Batmans over the years. The first time I saw one in live action, though, this was his Batmobile. And Michael Keaton was amazing. It was so magical seeing a superhero on the screen like that. Okay, maybe as the years went on, it got a little less magical. Maybe the interpretations never quite lined up exactly. And even some, well, strange versions of it really resonated in certain ways, but not in others. Overall, I'm a big Batman fan. Let me tell you what I'm doing here. What I do is I review stories, I do them as they come out, and then I do Throwback Thursdays where I talk about older things. And then every Sunday I take apart stories and do a theory video. If that sounds interesting, click subscribe and join our little community. For now, let's talk about the heart of Batman. And that's actually a little hard to do, because these three guys right here are all Batman, but they're all very different Batmen. And that's not even taking into account Metal. Yeah, Metal. A lot of actors have played him over the years. Some good, some great, some only okay. But at the end of the day, the one that really started it all was the comic book. A superhero dressed like a bat who has no powers, but who punches criminals. Detective Comics number 27 introduced us, and over the years he's just evolved and changed and become more powerful and more science fiction-y, really. But at the end of the day, no matter what one you're looking at the same bewildered character. One who wants to be able to do everything, but can't necessarily pull it off. Over the years, he's been introduced to multiple teams. They changed the continuity to make everything happen in the same world, which was pretty cool in the comics. In the movies, hit or miss. But I think everyone loved these cartoons. Now, the irony is that all those live action adaptations, the ones that had him just on his own without the other superheroes around, were able to harken back to a more classic look, a more classic idea. And yes, I realize that over the years there have been multiple incarnations in the movies too, so it's hard to pin one down. But they each get an aspect of Batman right. Okay, most of them get an aspect of Batman right. And at the end of the day, they bring about different things. Everyone has their own favorite Batman. For me, Batman will always be Kevin Conroy. I want to say that it's Adam West, but no, Kevin Conroy, plain and simple. He's played Batman the most out of everyone. He was the voice of him in almost every animated incarnation. He fluctuates his voice so that Bruce and Batman sound very different, but at the same time you can tell it's the same. And at the end, him and Mark Hamill probably are going to go down as the iconic Batman and Joker. But again, far from the only ones. I've been reviewing Gotham, and I really like the take the kid has on it. Overall, Batman has, like I said, evolved, changed. And when you talk about the Batman continuity, you're actually talking about a dozen different continuities. That's why I laugh when people say, oh, well, Gotham's not doing Batman's origin right. They're changing things. Changing what? Changing the way he worked in the Detective Comics 27, changing how he worked in Detective 319, changing how he worked the first time Ra's al Ghul showed up, changing how he worked post-Crisis, changing how he worked in New 52. How about just, they're all Batman in one way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, of course, we need to talk about what makes each one individually. different and which makes them the same. So let's break that down for a second. In the 40s, he was a caped crusader. In the 60s, he was campy but lovable, that guy that you could just believe everyone trusted. In the 80s and 90s, he was dark and brooding until he went back to being the 60s one with a bat credit card. In the early 2000s, he was the Dark Knight. He was an avenging angel, the hero that Gotham needed, even if it wasn't one Gotham deserved. And how about 2016? Well, based on a very popular video game, he was a hyperkinetic backroom brawler fighter who could kick the butt of everyone in the room. Of course, that don't kill rule got smudged a little bit in there too. But then again, the original one did, and in the movies, he's pretty much always, throwing people off rooftops, who knows, put bombs in people's belts, you name it. So with all these changes, and all these different things, who is Batman? Batman is the mysterious vigilante, the one who doesn't even need to have powers, the one that's power is his mind and his body trained, and the one that we like telling stories about. In fact, I want you to think back. I used him in my character description when I talked about him and Lucille Ball having a lot in common. I used him in theme and symbolism when I talked about his parents dying. I used him over and over again in, every superhero story ever. And there's probably no one on the street you could stop and ask who is Batman and not get a decent answer from. Because we all know who he is, and the heart of his story is in the heart of all of the stories. The idea of overcoming challenge. We use him as an analog. Sometimes he's the person you feel sorry for, and you sit there and you say, well, he rose up to become great. And sometimes he's the character that you look at and you say, hey, he's the all-powerful Bat God. And other times you look at him and the story is just a funny superhero story. And no matter which Batman you consider to be the Batman for you, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, Batman's story is far from over. We're going to see other actors portray him, other writers work with him. And we're going to see him morph into all sorts of things. Heck, he's already sometimes Batman and sometimes Iron Man, and sometimes he's Sherlock Holmes, and sometimes, well, you get the idea. But for now, I'm going to leave it there and ask you this. What's your favorite take on Batman? What's your favorite version? Let me know down in the comment section. And in the meantime, like and share this video, subscribe, all that. Next week's Throwback Thursday is going to be right after Valentine's Day, or right around Valentine's Day. So I'm going to do a special episode, one that you'll be charmed by. For now, I hope that you have a good night, and thank you for walking with me through the heart of the story of Batman.